Dr. Dunaway here at Chiro Strength, and I wanted to make a video about the strengthening of the hip flexor complex. Now the hip flexor complex here, we always associate it with it being tight, so we assume that it's not weak, but it usually is, and that weak hip flexor will set you up for a groin strain very easily. So we're going to work on strengthening what's called the eccentric portion, or strengthening the muscle while it's lengthening, and then strengthening the concentric portion, meaning from lengthened to a shortened position into that end range. Because as we get in a position where we're way out like this and we try to explode off, or we try to change direction real quick, this end range position is usually where we get that strain. So here's two drills to work on. All you're going to need, we've got a little wider frame right here so we can get this in. I'm going to get a paper plate and put it right down here onto the carpet so we have a surface that will slide. I'm going to have this chair here just in case I need it to support myself. But what this is going to look like a hip flexor stretch, but I'm going to keep my torso over this hip, and so there's going to be about 50% of the weight on this back leg, 50% of the weight of the front leg, so we're loading this hip flexor as we slide back. And so now we got this hip flexor under stretch, but it's loaded. So we're strengthening that hip flexor as it's lengthening. To stand up, I'm actually going to use this hip flexor to pull myself up like this, and so we can start to strengthen at this very end range. That first initial contraction is usually the weakest. So we're going to be here, pull forward, and we're going to do that for about 8 reps. Now on the last rep, we're going to hold a nice, good, deep stretch for about 10 seconds, staying nice and tight through the core. And then at the end of that 10 seconds, be careful, but slowly pull yourself back up. Now what I want you to focus on is not letting your knee come forward like this, because this is not going to load the hip flexor. The knee has to stay put or even come back a little bit in order for this hip flexor to be stretched. And then as we come up, try not to lean your torso forward and bend your knee over your toe to get you up like that. You'd end up doing both sides, obviously, but that's really going to strengthen that eccentric portion. So now we want to also strengthen the end range of flexion. So when we talk about, we usually talk about hip flexion, we usually never go past this 90 degrees. But we should be able to get up to about 120, 110 degrees. So what I like to do is get this same chair we had. I'm going to stand nice and tall. And what I'm going to try and do is flex my leg up as high as it'll go, externally rotate over the chair, and then slowly let my leg fall down. So I'm not going to shift weight all over onto that leg, but lift it back up, over the chair, and back down. So if you look at me from the side view, I'm not caving in like this. Keep a nice tall spine. As I come up, spine stays tall, externally rotate over the chair, barely touch the foot down, keeping all the weight on that planted leg, back over, right? And if that starts to get easy, we can always increase it with a little weight. So what I'll do is I'll take a kettlebell, prop my toe in there, and then do that exact same drill with the kettlebell on the toe, nice and slow, back and over that chair. So those are the 2 hip flexor strengthening drills. And again, if those hip flexors are weak, it'll really set you up for that pull of the Pectineus and the Adductor Brevis. So try these drills out. Take them slow because they're going to be a little foreign to most people. So and make sure you slowly progress that with the rep and set scheme. So again, this is Dr. Dunaway with Chiro Strength saying, don't just mend, transcend.